Our design process started out by meeting in a study room, and we would talk about the possible topics that we wanted for the story of our comic, because we kind of had a broad topic and didn't really know what to do about it, just the implications of micro and macro quantum mechanics. So we decided to take that scale up to the level of a superhero, so that way we would have something to make fun gameplay out of, as well as a way to actually tell a story about this. And after we made that decision, we got together and we made a storyboard, which you can see on screen right now. And then after we did that, we did a drawn-up one so that we could base all of our comic book panels after the drawn-up storyboard. That was just supposed to be a basic template. After that, we divided the 4 panels each between us, and then we were able to make newer panels, and some of us were able to also start working on some prototypes for the games that we wanted to do, since we had the ideas of what we wanted to do already.
So one of the main objections that we had to overcome on our comic was trying to figure out an ending for it. Some of us didn't really want the professor to die. We kind of wanted to have there be room for the next one. If we did ever continue the storyline, we didn't want to kill off our main character, so we had them entangled in a battle to the death in the little prison, which is the rhythm game that we had. At one point in the story, we were trying to figure out how we were going to make the professor evil or have some sort of conflict with Bella, our protagonist, and we finally narrowed it down on jealousy, or basically kind of revenge for destroying the accelerator, or the quantum entanglement machine. We, at one point, were entertaining the idea of involving aliens and all that with mind control on the professor, trying to, I think we were trying to get the aliens to try to control Bella for her own power at some point, which was interesting, kind of how it switched from the beginning. We did entertain a lot of different story beats with this game. So one of the main contributions that I made was the quantum entanglement game. So we wanted to show a scene of our hero rescuing somebody from a burning building and showing off one of her main powers, which is to quantumly entangle this stuff. So we chose a person. At first, it was probably going to be some objects, but we wanted it to have some stakes, so we have her rescue a person. And so the way that I chose to do it was have her move back and forth and guide the person out of the building by quantumly entangling to her. If one of the main issues that I had was trying to get it so that they moved independently and in reverse. So when the player went left, the quantum entangled object went right, and so on. With that, it made it a lot easier by doing 2 movement scripts, one for the quantumly entangled person, the one for our hero. With the entanglement script, I had it so it can move independently and can be toggled on and off with Q, so you can quantumly entangle to her at will and move back and forth. I created hazards, so there's a little bit more of difficulty getting her out of the building, and a hazard down below, so you can't go too far into the building without it having repercussions and stuff like that. And then the end goal being the exit or the door. Another main thing was trying to get it so that they both animated on different animation planes. I tried making one animation code and then decided just to split it up so they worked independently, so they weren't animating walking at the same time.
All right, so my major contributions to the project were any art-related aspects of the comic, such as the comic panels, which included refining all the panels that everyone contributed to, adding text elements to the panels, drawing up backgrounds and level designs for the minigame, and as well as some animation work. My design process was pretty basic. I basically had a vision in my head of what I wanted my panels to look like, and I just looked up any drawing references to either help me get started on the panels or just to make drawing out the outline. Some difficulties I had when designing the panels or the level designs was mainly trying to incorporate what the others wanted in their level designs to make sure that everything ran smoothly and they had what they needed to make their mini games work or make their mini games look fleshed out and polished. But after some working with them closely and understanding what they wanted, I had a little more easier of a time drawing up any of the level design that they needed.
So for our project, our group was more or less divided into sort of a 3-person programming team and a 2-person art team with, some minor exceptions. Just kind of based on the preferences and the strengths of the individual members of our group. So for this particular project, I was a part of the art team. I did the majority of our 30-second animation, but I did have the base, some assistance from Kyle, another member of our group. He created the news logo and text scrolling portion, and I kind of filled in the characters and the backgrounds over top of that. I would definitely say that was the hardest part for me, with the most challenges to overcome, simply because Adobe Animate was a software I wasn't as familiar with as something like Photoshop. So just remembering how to use it and get everything running smoothly for the animation had its share of difficulties, but other than that, I drew out the character designs themselves and added them into the actual panels of the comics over the backgrounds that we all contributed to. And just designed like the sprites for the walk cycles and so on for each of the mini games. So those were my main contributions here.
During this project, I mainly focused on the tunneling game, which is set up similar to a maze. You use the tunneling ability to move the character past walls, searching for an endpoint. Once the endpoint is reached, the game is over and you get sent back to the comic. The creation process for this game was a lot more challenging than I initially expected. I can easily say the most difficult part was getting the tunneling function to work properly. Most of the issues that came up ended up solved, but 2 of the main issues that weren't solved include getting stuck inside the walls and getting the animations to work properly. Another small area of this comic that I worked on were a couple of the storyboard sketches. I am not the most confident in my artistic abilities, so other group members ended up redoing or adding touch-ups for the final product.
Okay, so I think I got this ready to mess around with. We have the comic, which is literally just every single layer of the Photoshop file that is able to be moved around. I might even be able to check a setting so it'll keep them separated into panels. But the navigation for this is set and done. I just need to change like the position of these buttons and make them like icons instead of names. But if you click through them, it'll slide through the panels. And it kind of looks like a book. And I just need to like make little animations. This is where the games will go, and then that's the animation. Next panel. All right, so this is the design process of our game. Kyle, do you want to explain to me what you're doing right now?
So I'm making UI buttons for the player movement and the entanglement feature while listening to JoJo Siwa's hit single Karma.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I love it. It really inspires me to do all this great work I'm doing right now.
I can tell, and you're doing great work.
Thank you.
It's working.